Good evening. Well, maybe evening for someone else, but actually good morning from me. We do have an NGS cast for the day. We are looking at the heroic division between the teams with Big Push Power and Baby Makers. On the left-hand side, we did see Big Push Power ban out both Braxis Holdout and Cursed Hollow, while Baby Makers banned out Tomb of the Spider Queen and Sky Temple. Apparently they really just don't like that sand golem boss, as they just kind of removed both the maps where it does exist. However, that did lead us to a Battlefield of Eternity. As I always like to say at the beginning of these casts, I don't actually know who chooses map pick or first pick, as even just knowing that may eventually spoil the series for me, so I kind of like to keep it this way so I can give an unbiased cast, if you'd like to put it that way. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the match as I push these buttons in the correct order. I've done it. I've only gone and done it like a champion I am. Right, on the left-hand side, a big push power, we have Concept on the Urel, final stand on the Lucio, Alpharak on the Tychus, Sidu T2 on the Vala, and Mr. TTO on the Joanna. On right hand side, we see in the top lane Marbuckle on the Artanis, Dead Wish on the. Oh, that's nice of you, Alpharak, following someone's SoundCloud. Anyway, Dead Wish on the Hanzo, Paper Tanks on the. I can't remember what that's called. It's everything is gold there. My word, Sylvanas, Frecklebob on the Ana, and Deshibes on the. Oh gosh, I even know what this character's called. I play it sometimes. Diablo. There we go. That was just a few abilities straight out at the beginning, and let's actually pull up and tell us as Mr. TTO does pull up using the Condemn and just getting a little bit of damage off, and we just see this wave clear slightly going out to the side of Big Push Power at the moment. Anyway, in terms of stacking, we do see Hanzo goes that. We see really two key factors here that will actually add up a lot in the late game. Hanzo did go that simple geometry, actually huge, remember that, and Vivala went Hungering Arrow quest, Puncturing Arrow. So both of these will help build up the race of either side. Hanzo gets a lot of extra damage with those Scatter Arrow as well. If C2D2 can get that Puncturing Arrow stacked up, that will eventually do a lot. This camp is scouted by the Hanzo Arrow, however we don't see anyone pushing up into it. As actually there is a rotation on top. Urel looks in, sees Paper Tank, sees Frecklebob, sees Marbuckle, not Frecklebob, but sees Marbuckle and decides maybe that camp is not for me at this current point in time. And they do back out pretty safely. Meanwhile, we do see a heavy siege coming in this spot. It's really Dead Wish on the Hanzo and Deshibes is not the best for clearing waves yet. Hanzo does get that at 4, no matter what 4 he picks up. But for the moment, it's a bit slow, to put it lightly. But I'm assuming Hanzo is going to be picking up the W talent at 4, as that is what we typically do see, as that does actually end up adding a lot of extra. That is where he gets his race from on this map. He gets his race from that 4 talent, much like Vala, how gets it from her Monster Hunter at 7. Speaking of siege, though, we do see this whole front gate is basically down already, and this almost guarantees that the Immortal will be coming top. Speaking of front gates being down, we've seen the same amount being taken out up here. Marbuckle is trying to get out, gets booped back in by Final Stand, gets jumped on by Concept getting in front of him to get the hammer back, Righteous Hammer back into it. Marbuckle trying their best to stay alive, and there isn't quite the damage to finish off Artanis. Artanis goes for a cheeky swap at the end, but does not find anyone. Very close for Marbuckle there on the side of Baby Makers. This first camp is taken by the blue side of Big Push Power, and we see that Dead Wish is not too far behind, taking that Bruiser camp for the side of Big Push Power. But right, we should see just a straight up race in this first phase, as we don't really see too much fighting. But yep, as the things I should mention, Hanzo did go that simple geometry. Well, Tychus went for bigger they are, so we'll see a bit more melting. We see race coming out where, Tennis, you're very likely, aren't you? Yes, you are, amateur opponent. Good swap onto the Concept getting charged into a wall, and we do see a very good disengage from the side of Baby Makers. Get a very aggressive defense from the side of Big Push Power so far, but that means they're neither racing, and this Shaman camp has been pushing him the whole time. And we do see Concept rotate up to deal with it. Well, we do see there's a bit of a scuffle going on down here. However, the side of Big Push Power decide they may not really want a piece of that at the current point in time. It looks like we'll go straight back to racing. Hanzo getting that scatter arrow off immediately. We do see a little bit of a going hairping and a little bit of warning as we see defensive positionings coming on out. And yep, the red team of Baby Makers just once again disengaging, playing safe. Hanzo getting that extra poke on the Immortal. We see it is quite low already. But we see race has started from the side of Big Push Power. And nope, C2C coming back in. That will be Marbach getting very low. Marbach will just playing around in the vision. Tychus grenade finds him, however, so they will be going down. Tychus, as I mentioned, did go that grenade. Telling at 1, so it will be doing extra damage as well as has that extra range. Mr. TTO just trying their best to get out. Oh, Hanzo has to use leap. Sylvanas. Oh, I just watched the Hungering Arrow just chase them slowly and just dropping them right by their own gate and healer. Very unfortunate stuff. Oh, Mr. TTO is just trying to deny Dead Wish that extra race. Final Stand, however, does get charged for his aggressiveness. And yes, we did try to get down, however, we'll not be seeing... We'll see that the Immortal does actually go over the side of Baby Makers. And them barely holding on to their lives. The thing to note is, we do see Sevens. We're slightly first for Big Push Power, however, it is still a pretty negligible difference as it's a 2 early kills, which isn't really that much XP in the long run. Oh, Mr. TTO taking a lot of damage. If they had to use Iron Skin there, if they did not, they would have very likely been stunned by the Immortal and would have gone down. But now we see Black Arrows coming out, helping preserve that Immortal's health. And this is just the power of Sylvanas. She does have that 30-second, I believe 30-second cooldown on Black Arrows, meaning she could shut off any structure, apart from core, in the game. But we do see this side of Baby Makers backing out. I do want to check this all of a sudden. We do indeed see that Monster Hunter on the Vala. Other things to know is daggers on the Sylvanas, ignoring that Q at 1. But this will give her excellent wave clear and just make these waves explode. I was curious whether she would go the Merc Queen, considering that there are some very good Merc camps on this map and you can get a lot of push done with them. We do see Hanzo is actually here this time to help clear. Hanzo and Ana is still here to help clear and fight. And there's Hanzo completing his scatter quest. Very good timing on that. It is before the next Immortal. Sure, maybe it would have been nice for last Immortal, but it was still won pretty convincingly as well, as we did see a lot of this bot going down. Now we do see that Paper Tanks is back with that Sylvanas. And we do have Concept trying their best to clear out that top camp. Right, there was a disengage there by the side of Big Push Power, so really not much to comment here. So I'm actually going to look at the offlane for once, heaven forbid. Marbach just doing their best to zone Concept out, making sure Concept can't actually clear this camp very effectively. Lucio is rotating up to help the side of... well, help Urel. Oh, we just kind of zooming around at the speed of sound. But anyway, we do see this camp pushing and not really finding as much this time as last time. But definitely still doing work as Artans did back off as they're a bit scared of where the blue team was, as they have not been showing on map for quite a while at this point. Camps being taken at pretty comparable times for both sides. It should be interesting to see where race goes here or where their team fights, because we do see 10s coming through first for the side of Big Push Power. It's not me to close that, I was me to push this button. We do see High Five coming in from Lucio. Ardent Defender from Urel. Commandeer Odin from Tychus, and we still see a few decisions yet to be made. Getting pings from Joanna. Joanna's just heading down now. They didn't quite deal with that Shaman, so that will be pushing for a bit, but bottom Shaman is also still up. And we do see that monster value coming through as that is mortal. That both Immortals actually falling pretty quick. The other thing to know is falling sword from Joanna and the Rain of Vengeance from Vala. We did hear Wailing Arrow coming out as well as Dragon Arrow. We're getting a lot of arrows on this team. Paper Tanks gets stunned again. That will actually be the 2 kills going over for the side of Big Push Power as both Sylvanas and Artanis dies pretty quickly. We're starting to notice now is But yeah, sure. Both teams have very good race and team fight potential. The team fight potential goes over slightly to the side of Big Push Power, while the race goes slightly over to the side of Baby Makers. And unfortunately, as we get into the later game, we should see that both these advantages are actually diminished. As Vala gets this punctury arrow stacked more, it make her race better, but as we get into the later game, especially with things such as Nano Boost, as well as the just general combo that we can see from the side of Baby Makers, that team fight advantage is also diminished by the side of Baby Makers onto Big Push Power. Things to note actually with that combo, they do actually have a combo breaker of the Joanna's Falling Sword. That does give an unstop in any one of the area underneath it, so that should actually mess with things such as the Dragon Arrow APOC combination that can be used here. Meanwhile, we do see Immortal actually fighting a decent amount of damage already. There's Sylvana Stovon. Actually, there's a lot of abilities coming out. We're just seeing a lot. There is a bunch of unstops coming out. Marble actually got relatively low. Paper Tank's even lower, but will not go down as there was just a lot of buttons pushed, a lot of health being taken away from both sides, but in the end, no kills, which is an impressive defensive play by both sides. We see that well barely held on. That is actually very important in the long run, and we do see Tannis is now in a not a very good position. They do swap Alpharak in underneath the towers. Alpharak took a lot of damage for that, but we're likely to see all 4 members of the red team halving. I think the side of Big Push Power know they're kind of just wasting time now, and we do see them back off. Tannis did an excellent job of defending that solo, really only taking about a third of a tower, and a tower lost only about a third of itself. Considering that you had a 5-man in your face as Artanis, you are very happy with that outcome. Very good defense there. But yeah, let's just have a brief look around. I'm going to pull up some stats just so anyone can see if they're interested. We did see that, well, healing is pretty comparable by Lucio and Viana. Ana doing very well to keep up with Lucio. However, that may change once 16s come through. Marbuckle does get a swap on. We do see the blind coming out, hitting almost all of them. Dragon Arrow not quite finding it for purchase in time, and APOC being popped as well. I don't know how I feel about that APOC. It may have been a bit of wait now, as there is a longer cooldown, so we will have to... So that is another tool that the side of Baby Makers will not have this coming objective phase. Sure, I understand the Dragon Arrow just trying to peel, but APOC seemed to be pushed relatively late in comparison. Maybe they're just double checking the timing on everything. But, is all I can say about that. But yeah, as I was saying, we do see healing's pretty comparable, as well as tanking. Urel's actually tanked more than Joanna, but that is because the offlaners like to fight, especially that Artanis. Let me just zoom in ever so slightly. That's just too much ever so slightly. We're seeing a race coming out from both sides, but this bottom mortal, as I said, with that Vala stacking up the Hungering Arrow, that is done absolutely shred through that Immortal. Gonna zoom out once again as we're going to just see this. Oh, I can zoom back in. He's getting better with camera work. Let's go, as both teams look like they're just playing a very defensive stance. I would like to see Big Push Power actually getting very aggressive. Oh, okay. Nope, they're taking camps. One over here, one over here. I want to see Big Push Power get aggressive here, but it is a bit too late now, as Baby Makers do have those 13s come through at the right time. Smelling salt's very... I like it from the actual Ana. There's a decent amount of stuns over here on the side of Big Push Power. So that cleanse should very much help. Other things to note, we do see the hammers activatable. Tychus went for healing on minigun. Makes sense into things such as Diablo. That should be almost a self-ancestral at that point. C2 D2 pushing up relatively aggressively, but D-Sheep's not quite in a position to punish that Vala, really. I've zoomed all the way in, and Diablo did go that charged quest at once. We'll see how long that takes to get off. Let me close this now, as we do have a fight getting very much broken out, as I'm going to have to keep onto my fingers. As we see, everyone's very pushed out. Deadwish in a very defensive position. Dragon Arrow coming through. We do see that Joanna does unstop it with that Iron Skin. D-Sheep's going in for the combo, however, is not able to find C2 D2. Even if they did, Falling Sword was directly above them, meaning they had that unstop. D-Sheep's trying to best get out, and that will be D-Sheep's going down first. However, that is a Soul Stone reset, so we're not quite out yet. However, Paper Tanks will go down next. Everyone getting very low on the side of Baby Makers, and that is an excellent fight for Big Push Power. Final stand barely not even dodging, but Marbach barely missing that phase prism, and that means that will be a very healthy immortal coming through. It looks like about 3/4 health. I'm not going to bother counting out these squares. I'm just going to eyeball the health. Well, 3/4 shield, I should say. I'm just eyeballing that number, however, as I don't really want to get into the maths. And if you have an opinion on that, I don't really have anything to follow that up with. I'm just not going to count it out properly. Anyway, we do see the Immortal pushing in at this current point in time, as we do see that Baby Makers have set up their defense, and they do actually have only 4 of the members here, while that 5th member of Artanis is trying to get the Soak back, trying to get them back on 16s, as we do see currently that is a talent tier advantage and a 2-level advantage over to the side of Big Push Power. That's a very good one to say off. It just kind of rolls off the tongue quite well. We do see a lot of poke just coming in. It's not really anyone wants to fully commit, as this Yrel is a very good initiate for things such as Joanna. We do see them diving, trying to get the hammer back into the allied team and trying to get the Joanna condemn on it. And it's doing a very good combo so far. Artanis looks like they are backing up. It is something they have to do now because this is an Immortal pushing the core. And that'll be Hunter going down first. Sure, we did hear Wailing Arrow use, and that is actually Diablo going down next. And I should mention that his Soul Stone was already reset. He is not coming back. Actually, that is Marbach looking relatively low. It does give a face off of that Unsop. However, that'll be him going down. And because there's 3 members down, we see the core following soon after. Sure, Joanna died at the end, but that is already still a GG for the side of Big Push Power, taking out that first map. And we do see GGs coming out from at least Marbuckle. Good stuff. Right, let me change it over to the game summary screen and pull up some numbers for everyone to have a quick look at, as I really need to get my order right on that now. Lucio did pull ahead on healing the end of Ana, but that does inherently happen when you do have a both level talent advantage and just... Lucio does have that AoE healing that Ana does not outside of grenade build, outside of grenade, but Ana did not go grenade build. She went the sleep build, a build that I personally like a lot. But yeah, as I said, we did see Teamfight did definitely go over to Big Push Power as they took 10 kills to 1. But yes, I did like that there was a decent amount of combo potential on the side of Baby Makers between the Dragon Arrow, between the APOC, between the Wailing Arrow. There's a lot of AoE CC. However, just things felt a bit mistimed and maybe a bit panic used in some instances. But I think that was the same for both sides. I don't actually recall Yrel pushing her Ardent Defender very often. I think maybe once, but not really anything else to note. But yeah, as I was saying, that is really kind of not too much to note here. Tychus definitely doing a lot, but that is just inherently how a Tychus will do into a Diablo. Diablo, one of the healthiest tanks when they're at the full Soul Stone, the full Black Soul Stone, while Tychus kind of loves eating health with that minigun trait, especially with the bigger they are. A talent which, if you're not aware, pushes his percent damage up to an extra to 4% of max health while they're above 30% health. Sure, it misses out the last 30, but you do have that grenade build coming in then. That's not Tychus. That is Tychus. That grenade build is an excellent finishing ability, especially with sizzling attacks. You do get that. That actually bumps up the percent damage to 5% per auto. And if you have something with a high auto attack speed like Tychus, that will do a lot. Things I've noticed, Marbuckle did go the phase shift build. Something that is phase shift build, the phase prism? Yeah, phase prism build. Something that is picked up traction as of late, but every time I've seemed to cast it, it doesn't quite hit home. That may just be because Artanis is a bit of a niche spot currently. But we did see it did do some work, but it just wasn't quite enough. Otherwise, we do see that Diablo going that W build, Hunter with a W as well. Just in general, we do see a lot of standard builds. The thing I do actually want to know is Eternal Retaliation instead of the Iron Skin upgrade. Hold your ground. So this is quite interesting to see. Thanks to 25 stacks from Avala. So getting up there with that Monster Hunter damage bonus, actually probably beating out the amateur opponent by the time we're getting to this 25 mark for it. Double Blinds and Joanna actually did a lot to shut down both Sylvanas and Hanzo. They get a decent amount of extra damage from... Oh, and Artanis, obviously, from that They get decent amount of extra damage from those auto attacks, especially Sylvanas. She needs to auto attack to get that Banshee's Curse up, so she does get that bonus damage. Otherwise, really, I don't really have too much else to add for that draft, so I'm going to throw it over to a quick break where I'm going to set up the next map, and I'll see you all very shortly. As we can see, I should say I'm back. Howdy. As we can see here, we do have an Infernal Shrines map picked up. I'm not sure whether I'm not sure whether Baby Makers chose the map or they chose the to first pick. As I said earlier, I do not like spoiling the cast for myself, and this is the only way to do so. Right, I'm already seeing some interesting comps coming out from both sides, so let's swap over into the game. Let's start with Baby Makers this time. We do see Paper Tanks back on that Sylvanas. I keep zooming in because I need to do this. D-Sheebs on the Tyrael. Frecklebob? Frecklebob on the... Oh gosh, Deckard. Marbuckle on the... Malfail. Okay. And Dead Wish on Hogger. On the 10 side, we do see Alpharak once again on that Tychus. Concept on the... Oh gosh, I can't even see that in there. I believe it's Sonya. I'm going to find out. Yeah. Sonya. C2D2 on the... we get a lot of B from both sides. C2D2 on the Space Yoshi of Dahaka. Final Stand on the Lucio. And MRTTO on the... Blaze. Both teams offering... jumping into this double bruiser tank kind of scenario. So we're getting a lot of like extra presence on the objective. With the actual... Oh, this should be good actually, because we do see that one side does have a Malfail, someone who does like running into beefy boys, and we do see them just kind of holding in. But the other side does have a Tychus, yet again, another one of those, I'm going to push my buttons at you, and you're going to quickly lose your health. Things to note from first of all, we do actually already have Gank Push coming up here, and that will be Final Stand. Getting very low and going down as Tyrael just try to get just in front of him. Lucio did go that smooth move, something we don't see very often. Other than that, the only stacking talent we see at one actually for the first time is the tissue regeneration from the Dahaka. I wonder how that goes into Malfail. Malfail, things to note, is Fear the Reaper. Sure, that isn't your typical on a pale horse, especially because you see them doing a little bit of double rotate. I mean, in all honesty, if you're Malfail, you're not too scared at the current point in time. Malfail does have excellent sustain, as they do steal percent health in terms of healing on their Qs as well. They do percent health on their auto attacks, thank you to their trait. Soul Reaper? How do you work again? Reaper's Mark. Okay, there you go. And yeah, their Q heals for 4% of the hero's health. Max hero's health that it hits. And if you have something such as a Blaze, a relatively healthy tank, I need to actually make sure I fix this up. The Dahaka, who is making himself even healthier with the tissue regeneration and concept. Sonya, another pretty healthy bruiser as well. Malfail becomes pretty close to unkillable in some situations. But another thing to note is they do, over here, there is Lucio and Alpharak on that Tychus. Tychus, excellent shredding potential with that minigun, as I said before. We may see the big AVR here, but I wouldn't actually hate seeing in the rhythm. But no, we get the big AVR once again. And things to mention about Lucio is once he hits 16, he gets that percent healing on his amp it up. 2.5% per tick on that heal is actually a lot for someone such as Final Stand. Final Stand getting very aggressive, however. D-Sheebs doesn't quite have the lockdown to really deal with that. We do know that yeah. Outside of Judgment, Tyrael doesn't exactly have lockdown. They give a few other things such as shielding and move speed, and a little bit of slows. Also things such as Consecrated Ground. But I want to see whether Tyrael goes for that Judgment, but I think this looks like they should go... I feel like they should go, Sanctification here. That Sanctification on this objective does a lot. And invulnerable for your allied team for... I think 4 seconds is a lot. We do see Dead Wish getting pulled in, Dead Wish getting very low. They do have to spin out, however, they won't be able to get in time. That will actually be the 2 spinning people traded as Sonya is taken down as well as for Hogger. That is a 1-for-1 trade currently. And with this, actually, for the most part, I'm going to give... This race may actually go over to the side of Baby Makers, but it's too early to tell as Desheaves is getting very low. There's Tyrael getting out barely. Marbuckle in deep. There's Alfred going down first. Thank you to that Sylvanas. There's an excellent double stun by the Blaze, lighting the fire, not quite keeping alive. And we do see here that, well, yes, Lucio does do a decent amount of AoE healing. It is not fantastic early on to some high % damage over things such as Marbuckle. This is really going to be the war of attrition. Not even attrition, really. Attrition. It's going to be see who can last the longest on these points, and it seems currently to be going over to the side of Baby Makers. However, it is still 31 to 31 in terms of objective. That is a double stun onto Dead Wish. Dead Wish does have to boot the enemies out. There's a 38-34 currently. This objective very close to both sides. I've never seen such an aggressive fight. Marbuckle will actually go down here, however, but objective of a Frozen Punisher is taken by the side of Baby Makers. Oh, that is an unfortunate early jump. Concept does get caught out a bit early, but this Punisher being over in this area here is not very helpful for the side of Big... It's not good for the side of Big Push Power, as this guarantees now these 2 gates will be going down. Your general idea is to get the Punisher jump over wall so they can get hit by all 3 of these structures, but that's unfortunately just how this has happened, and we do see coming down onto this Sonya. They do come out. That is a slow Concept, barely getting out past that Decade Root. If that Decade Root had hit, this may be a different story, and that Sonya would very likely have gone down. Meanwhile, we do see that Paper Tanks is running a bit low on resources, but they do seem to have tap up. Yeah, Malfail's double soaking. C2 T2 not quite hitting the tongue there. But we do just have nice abilities to trade it out. Just curious about what Malfail has picked. Actually, we see a Black Harvest into Massacre. Are we going to see a Torrent of Souls game, or are we going to see that little minigun going out? Excellent stud stepping from Alpha Rack, but not quite finding Piptic. Or are we going to see the last rights as per? Should be very interesting to see. However, one thing to note is that Big Push Power does still have a macro advantage as they're nearer 10s. Hogger doing this camp. I accidentally clicked on Tyrael. Anyway, I found out more and more that apparently there is the geometry here just to go back and forth from Hogger, because it's a hero I've only been picking up a little bit more recently, but that's a good thing to note for upcoming NGS games. Hopefully anyone who is playing me this week does not listen to my cast, because oh my gosh, I spoil it. I spoil what I play a lot. I also throw some red herrings in, but I do actually tell the truth on what I do, and we do see Hogger clearing out relatively quickly while Malfail is pushing bot. Thing about Malf is they may as well double soak, as their auto attacks don't really add too much extra for the side for their siege. And it was a Torrent of Tormented Souls, I should actually say, not Torrent, Torment. Is that this kind of Black Harvest does kind of give you the idea that Tormented Souls is going to get picked up, as it does apply Reaper's Mark, and this is Reaper's Mark, and yeah, yada yada. But we do also see the Wailing Arrow from Sylvanas, Sanctification from Tyrael, just like I expected. The Hortapult from Hogger, the Get Out of Jail Free card, and the Stale Wildest from Decade. On the left-hand side, we do see Sound Barrier from Lucio. Sorry, I need to mute myself as I'm about to cough. I'm not sick, my throat is just dry, do not worry. As I was saying, Fun Stand with that Sound Barrier is something that will be very helpful amongst all this damage and the sustain. Isolation from Dahaka, I'm expecting to see an adaptation later. The Wrath of Berserker from Sonya, which I think is a very necessary pickup in this matchup. Bunker from Blaze, and the Commandeer Odin from Tychus, which, yes, adds extra clear from the shrines, but I'm curious whether that is actually the pick. As Commandeer Odin removes your really ability to do percent damage to as Marbuckle using the Tormented Souls already. That's only a 60-second cooldown, so not the end of the world, but not ideal considering objective is up in 15. speaking of which, as we look up here, this Shaman camp will be cleared out first by Baby Makers as Big Push Power is getting relative. Oh, the Shaman isn't actually down, that is a thing to note. As long as there's Shaman up, it will be summoning dogs. I don't know what they're actually called. Fallen Hounds. Dogs. We did hear Sonya pop that Raph. A Raph Sonya on an objective like this is actually quite a lot to deal with. And that is Sank coming out. Excellent Sank, meaning that Blaze kind of ends up going straight for the enemy team. Blaze does have to drop Bunker in response. Isolation coming out onto the Sylvanas. And of all the people, Sylvanas is probably one of the worst ones to get it to call out on. There's an excellent sleep from Deck and Marbuckle doing their best to get that extra damage out. Final Stand getting relatively low. Beat Drop is already used. They do not have that extra save. And that is an excellent play by Deadwish. Deadwish basically blocking off that whole side. And there's MRTTO, however, caught on the wrong side of everything. Final Stand tries his best to give him life. However, that will be the Sylvanas traded out for the Blaze as it was run down by Sonic. The Sheaves will be getting very low, and that is them going down actually to the shrine itself. That is Deadwish soon to follow suit, however. Oh! Does get the stun of Concept. Concept gets taken out in the meantime. That is now a 3v2. Not ideal. Marbuckle getting pushed back in, trying their best to sustain through it all. And they get caught out by Alpha Rax. Minigun does get booped into the potions. Oh my gosh, Marbuckle living far longer than I thought they would. And that is everyone out of resources, essentially. Feckle Bob having to go back. Marbuckle is considering going back in. Thinking about it. It's even really objective still, and we do see respawns are through first for the side of Baby Makers as MRTTO and Paper Tanks both get back here. It's still pretty even onto his objective. Actually, that grenade did a lot, as that will be the Frozen Punisher going over to the side of Big Push Power. Deadwish is sitting there ready to take the jump. Excellent unstop. Oh, they nearly end up back in the enemy team. Does have to boop MRTTO away. However, it doesn't really have much happen. MRTTO does find the charge onto Deadwish. These slows kind of just messing with them. We should see the Punisher jumping here in a few more seconds. Excellent free-man stun by the Punisher. Let's go, Punisher. I'm always Team Punisher in this map, as it does so much. We see Malfowl getting dove on. Once again, they're using those Tormented Souls, but however, is unable to escape this time. Unfortunate stuff. I'm going to close this for the meantime, as this Malphite's getting caught out a bit too much. They do have the Ever Reaper for that exact scenario is the thing, but they're still unfortunately getting found a bit too quick. And this objective is being taken by the side of not objective. This camp is being taken by Big Push Power. Well, going down pretty quick, and this will be a Barbarian being pushed in. Thing to note, Sonya is back to that smaller form, so yeah, she doesn't quite have Raph up at the current point in time. How's that camera work? We see, this is actually a lot of Shaman, these Fallen Shamans, not Fallen Shamans, but these goats being pushed. The Impaler's being pushed in, so it's a lot of extra siege damage. So the Sheaves eating a lot of it. Drops in there, we see the Sanctification. Sonya getting relatively low. We did hear that that being popped. Actually, Tyrael gets grabbed by the tongue there. Blaze will go down first, quickly followed by the Tyrael. Tyrael getting excellent bomb onto two members, getting that 10% cooldown reduction. And Tyker's taking down this Sylvanas once again. Final Stand getting relatively low, as well as Concept. Concept being chased down by Marbuckle. Marbuckle, can they finish it? No, they cannot. And actually, Marbuckle will be barely holding on here. Deadwish getting the excellent Q to keep them safe. We do actually see 16s have come through the side first of Big Push Power. And actually, Lucio picked up a talent I wasn't expecting here. They picked up the frequency, which, yes, for a longer sustained type fight is very good. But I wonder where that will go, considering we're getting up to these level 16s. It depends on what very much Baby Makers goes. I think I would like to see up frequency held onto for just a bit longer, but we'll see how that goes. I could be very wrong, because I usually pick up frequency anyway, so there must be a reason for it. Deadwish does manage to spin out of danger as we see the Freeman rotate onto him. On top, we do see the Shaman camp being taken by Paper Tank's Freckle Bob. But anyway, back to bottom lane, where there is a camp already pushing onto this objective. And we see 4-man of Big Push Power really pushing in here. Deadwish and D-Sheebs doing their best to defend it, however, that is a 2v4. Lucio getting very aggressive, however, is Concept getting hit anyway, so they should be fine. This keep falling relatively quick, but we do see a disengage on the side of Big Push Power. Have really both Immortals just kind of been tossed between here? Has it actually been an Immortal bottom lane? I don't think there has. We see Marbuckle set up early. And thinking about Marbuckle, they do actually have their Tormented Souls up for once for an objective. They're not getting ganked just before it. Blade's doing their best to get this down. They will get it down because they're not getting really have anything done to them. It goes down, and they will, however, be late to this objective. As we do see the 5-man of Baby Maker's already there. And they do have their 16s now. It's not what I expect to see from Malphite, and it's not what I thought it was. Never mind. So we see Malphite has gone to that more survivability. I thought I'd see the 8% damage on their W. However, no, we do see that they're going to just heal more often. Every 0.5 seconds as opposed to... Wait, it's cooldown reduction of 0.5 seconds on that already pretty low cooldown if I remember correctly. Tyrael gets chased down here as we do see a siege coming in top. Malphite's just working on that while Dahaka is split pushing bottom. I like this idea from Dahaka. They do have Burrow to get up if they need. Marbuckle is choosing it back out. People don't really want to fight under this Commandeer Odin. We do see it slowly ticking down with their armor as it is about to go down now. And as you hear, it is the Mortar Punisher Red Team. Mortar Punisher does actually a lot of damage with the scaling of these mortars actually doing far more than anything else. Oh, that's an excellent stun there kind of getting in. We do see Freckle Bob popping that. Can't remember what it's called all of a sudden. That Ancient Blessings MRTTO gets relatively low, but however, we are unable to find a kill there. Sylvanas was turning off that objective route while that Dahaka is behind, getting those camps, and we do see Marbuckle has to go deal with it. We do still see a 4v4 here. We have to be careful of this push. If Dahaka burrows out, we may see it here, but it looks like they're fighting for now. This Punisher is actually finding a decent amount. Has managed to march through one fort onto the keep. And this will be C2D2 actually winning out against Marbuckle. It looks like they're trying to escape. Remember, this is not the race car Dahaka that we know and love. However, it does still get move speed from those bushes. That looks like a Sapphire that went out, and that will be Marbuckle going down. Indeed, it was a Sapphire into that root combination, and that is very unfortunate as the blue team of Big Push Power lose their Dahaka throughout that. They lost a fort in Dahaka, not ideal, but they are really pushing back into this as we do see both these forts relatively low. These forts are going to go down relatively soon, top probably much sooner than mid. Blaze charges out, Marbuckle just trying to chase him a little bit. Wait, what do I call Dahaka? Dahaka C2D2, sorry. C2D2 went down, not Marbuckle. Okay, getting that bot, so looking to do this bottom camp, however, did show they're going here. Blaze is coming up. Final Stand not too far around. They're just kind of running around, scouting things, making sure they know what is happening. Final Stand is one of the best, well, not Final Stand, but Lucio is actually a very good healer for that, as they can escape a lot of situations with their trait, with their move speed, with their amp up on their move speed, getting to a very good kind of way to do it. And D-Sheeps gets dismounted. Top fort goes down. Alpha Rat getting relatively low. There's Sound Barrier coming out. Excellent stuff. Marbuckle is focusing that Alpha Rack, trying to stay on it. That is a good stun coming out, however Hoggin does finish off that Tychus. And that will be bunker dropped, however this is not a very good position if you're MRTTO. MRTTO does use that charge to get out, however Marbuckle is still in range with his W, and that will be them going down. Lucio now a bit out of position. I'd like to see... Oh, that is excellent stuff by Hogger. That was a very weird looking animation. Final Stand does use that push off to get out of dodge, and that will be Final Stand managing to live. It's weird looking animation cancelling actually happening there from Dead Wish, so... And we do see that power of Sylvanas coming through, Black Arrows pushing through this keep. And the important thing to notice about this keep, it's the objective lane of the next Frozen Shrine. Now we do see the free man defending here by the side of... Oh, D-Sheeps did get pulled back in by the Dahaka, and that will be them going down. Just drop it on the keep, man. Or the wave. It looks like the wave is the choice here. That is very unfortunate that Dahaka... Very fortunate for the side of Big Push Power that Dahaka got that tongue off there, but very unfortunate if you're the side of Baby Makers. Anyway, let's have a look at Storm Talents while there's just kind of macro happening. We do see that Bossa Nova comes through for Lucio. Not one picked up often, but I do like it. And there is the Contagion, as I thought would happen. I think I may have called it something else, but it is the AoE Silence that I called almost 10, well actually 10 levels ago now. Ignore Pain from the Sonya, pretty standard fair bunker upgrade of Fortified Bunker for Blaze, and Tychus is yet to figure it out. So while they're figuring it out, we do see that the right side did pick up, well, not the right side, but the side of Baby Makers did pick up with a Bolt of a Storm from Sylvanas. No one can stop Death from the Malfowl. Something very good to get him back into the fight. The Sanctification upgrade of Holy Arena. The no control on the Hogger. And last but not least, respect the elderly from the Decade Cave. I'm going to close this now, and I'm going to keep an eye on that sidebar to see if Tychus picks up anything very shortly. Marbuckle pushing in, doing a decent amount of damage. And there we see Big Red Button by Alpharak. Marbuckle doing the best sprawl. We do see Twin Salts coming out. We do see actually no control coming out. Not no control, but Hoggers is spinning around with that Hog Wild C2D2. Excellent Sleep Silence combo by both Paper Tanks and Freckle Bob. That is the Holy Rena coming out, and that was Dahaka going down first. Final Stand getting very low, does get that push out. However, Malfowl will barely find that kill. Alpharak does have a 25 armor, but is being forced out. Paper Tank's getting relatively low. We do see V Potion getting hit by them, and that was the Ancient Blessings going out as well. MRTTO getting held in by D Shibes. That hallowed ground, consecrated ground, I believe, is just holding them in, and that will be MRTTO going down as well. Malfowl went very deep for the Tychus, however, Tychus kind of punished him for that. D Sheeps trying their best to chase down Alpharak now. Does have that move speed, trying to get into a good enough position to really deal with it, but Alpharak will be getting out here. I do like that Siege is coming through for the side of Baby Makers now, while the Hogger clears out that objective at back. And Malfowl has remembered he does have No One Can Stop Death, so does return. Keep in mind that is a 240-second cooldown, 150, 180-second cooldown. So it will take them a while to get that back. And once it is used, they do have a longer death timer, so if they die again, it will be quite a while. But it looks like we will be getting an end call here from the side of Baby Makers, as they do have a Frozen Punisher, a 19-minute Frozen Punisher at that, pushing on to V-Core. Jump comes out, excellent burrow by C2D2. However, while that is happening and this boss is dancing around this mid-keep, we do have a fight breaking out underneath Core. As D Sheep's getting targeted by that Core, getting relatively low, excellent sleep by V. Decade versus Spix, the elderly coming through, silencing, and yep, we do see that Holy Arena coming out, that damage bonus, and that will be the Sonya going down first. We did see that, Hogger using that no control, getting actually decent amount of damage. That was the Ancient Blessing that was used by Decade well earlier in that fight. Punisher jumps over on Final Stand and takes them out. However, Malfowl is lost during that fight. D Sheeves and everyone's getting so low. Freckle Bob is left alone to finish us with the Punisher. And that will be map 2 going over to the side of Baby Makers. GG called by both sides, as I now remember to do this properly. I've put it over the wrong screen, I'm sorry. I've put it over the wrong screen, but again. I'm just bad at this today. Fourth time's charm. There we go, actually have it on the summary screen. I should not have it on this one. Just to start off, we do see Lucio and Decade were very close on healing. However, Decade with that Ancient Blessings just edged them out with that extra damage as well as that extra healing. We did actually see that end up stacking up, as Malfowl did a lot of damage here. Something that I was basically I was saying early on, it will be the war between Malfowl and Tychus for top damage, and Malfowl did take it out. Maybe I would like to see the percent damage on Sylve as well in that early from that level 1. However, at the end of the day, it worked out anyway. But yeah, really, talking about the comps, we did see both sides go that triple bruiser, and then both had that percent damage to try to take it out. However, Malfowl just was sustaining through it a bit too much. So yeah, we did see that there was a lot of point presence by both sides, as both sides really did not want to give up their objective. And we saw that every objective was very close. Kills were very close. Teamfight was very close. We did actually have comps that very much wanted the same thing of that objective control, who had very good team fight. However, at the end of the day, it was Baby Makers barely holding out there. Right, I'm going to quickly throw it over to talents if anyone is interested. Things to note here was that Tormented Souls build a Malfowl, but it worked out very well for them. But yeah, other than that, things were relatively standard. We did have Blaze going the spell damage reduction stuff at 7, and the overall damage reduction at 4 with a Pyromania. But yeah, other than that, we see things pretty standard. I loved the Sapphire pickup on Decade. Sapphire, criminally underrated in my division at least. I think it's an amazing ability. It gives you that extra engage and CC that sometimes you need. And it did pay off here, as we did see at least 1 or 2 kills. That kill on the chase of C2D2 probably being the prime example of where it was a amazing pick. Right, I'm going to throw it over to a quick break, as I'll see you all very shortly as I set up the next map. Right, welcome back. As we can see here, we do have a map 3, Towers of Doom, one of my favorite maps to see in the late game, and we are opening up now. I do like both comps that I see, something very interesting and a very nice surprise for someone here, as the teams have decided to switch sides. Gosh, making me push my buttons like this. But anyway, let's get over into the game. As we do here, it has started. I've pushed the wrong button again. Give me a brief moment while I figure out... Wait, what? I already switched over, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, on the left-hand side of Baby Makers, who is now going to confuse me to no end, we see Paper Tanks once again on that Sylvanas, Marbuckle on the Hogger, Fricklebob on the Malfurion, Desheebs on the Stitches, and Deadwish on that Tracer. On the right-hand side, we see the TLV, played by MRTTO, Concept by the Deathwing, C2T2 by Leeming, Final Stand is on that Stukov, and Alpharak on the... No, I nearly said Alarak because it rhymed. No, but Batikas. So I think we're getting a Concept on main tank here. Main tank... I can't remember what your name is. Big Boy. Main tank Big Boy. Main tank Deathwing from Concept. We're just getting seeing abilities out. I wonder... Stukov, I understand, does make sense for the TLV, but with something such as a Deathwing, I wonder if it makes as much sense. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out, because I don't actually know much how this I don't really know how the concept of a single frontline Deathwing works out. Main thing to note here is there's not really much in terms of your general percent damage that can deal with this Deathwing. Sure, Paper Tanks can do a lot with that Q build if it all go on one target. It does actually add up. Other than that, really, we'll just see where it goes. I think Desheebs can get a percent damage hook at some points, but it's not really the picked up talent. Stun hitting Desheebs, Alpharak pressing up right into them. We do see that Vikings are currently being checked by both Tracer and the Hogger in either lane. So normally you'd see in terms of offlane, normally you see the double rotate, but instead this time we do have Olaf being the Olaf the Stout talent there, picked up for extra tankiness. We do see Eric did half for whatever reason, and Baylog playing safe as well. Both camps have been picked up. I'm just going to zoom out because that's going to be easier here. Concept looks like they're going to march over. They should actually have an advantage here early on, as they can kind of just muscle their way in. However, Deadwish finally joining their team. Alpharak coming down, making sure Deadwish doesn't quite get the value they want. Final Stand getting pushed in by the Tracer. Final Stand, buddy! You did get hit by the... Oh, that's an interesting talent to see. The Parting Gift, however, that is both Sapper camps picked up by the side of Big Push Power. They obviously know how this works far better than I do, as the Deathwing is managing to pressure out the side of Baby Makers for the current point in time. We do want to see this Deathwing land soon, actually, as these kind of Sappers are losing a lot of their health. Deathwing does land, not quite at full health, but definitely up there. Sylvanas getting zoned out. They want to get these sappers into this melee, into that close enough range so they do actually pop on the towers. We're just about there. We see one go in. Number 2 actually hasn't gone out, but number 2 actually died, and that'll be number 3 dying as well before it can get any more value. This is an excellent start for this side of Big Push Power. However, this objective phase should be where we start to see the advantage really press on for the side of Big Push Power. As well, the longer this objective goes on, the more value these Vikings can get. Especially as, well, really, you want the objectives on this map, but you also want to make sure the Vikings do not get too much value. We do see already Baylog is on this top left one, but let's focus down here as there is the Hogger on the top left. Sorry, top right, top left. My left and right. Alpha window today, which is, just so people know, to my left and not my right. Paper Tank's getting chased out by Alpha Rack. Concept trying to be best to get out. And actually, that was pretty quick. Objective phase, Olaf. Oh. Olaf died. First Viking death. Olaf died. And we do see once again this push coming back down bottom. Concept actually relatively healthy, all considering. I need to check that build. That is the Q build coming out with that protected plate spot at 1. Necrotic Might. Oh, wait, yeah. Anyway, closing that out again. Alpha Rack stepping up a lot compared to Concept. And that is just a call for danger, usually. However, Stitches isn't a CC tank. Stitches is someone who can very much find picks, and then kind of they can deal with that what they will. The thing about Hook, however, is it doesn't hit unstoppable targets. And Deathwing is permanently unstoppable. And not only that, Deathwing just kind of messes with that whole ideology of how Stitches wants to work, is they can just kind of shut down that Hook by eating it on purpose. And we have, hey, Olaf, can you stop killing Olaf over there? He's getting a bit hurt now. Oh, that is an excellent hold out. Alpha Rack managing dash out. So I imagine this was actually, now looking at quite a late Deathwing pickup, as we really don't see much that checks Deathwing, and Deathwing is flying in. Let's go, Deathwing! C2, T2 getting relatively low. We do see that sleep root coming out onto the Tychus, and thank God it did, because otherwise that would have been a kill into Deathwish. MRTTO tried to finish it off, however was not quite able to. Concept will take that, and ooh, that is Hogger spinning all the way through. Alpha Rack trying their best to get out. Hogger doesn't actually find the Q onto Alpha Rack, so they are able to live. And this once again is both camps picked up by the side of Big Push Power. And even in saying this, we do see the side of Baby Makers keeping up relatively well in terms of soak. That is 5 steps through, and that is the altars, that bottom left bell tower going over the side of Big Push Power for worst time possible for Baby Maker. We do see Eric capping that bottom, as we do see Alpha Rack gets unfortunately hooked in by Stitches, and that will be a kill onto the Baby Makers, which is on the only first full kill of the game, as only 2 Vikings have died. Speaking of Viking, we just see Eric the Swift just kind of coming up to pester. And they die very quickly. Sylvanas, if you don't know, is someone very good at killing things quickly, and if you have such a low health pool, such as these TLV, they go down just a few moments. The thing about to mention about Olaf is not the fastest clear, but he's definitely doing well. Eric playing very defensive, and we do see defense coming out from the red side, and that will actually be the Stitches going down. Very unfortunate. C2 trying their best to kite Deadwish around, playing very safe. Understand, getting that heal out so they do not go down. Deadwish try their best, but Li Ming just played just safe. Oh, getting hit by the Shadow Dagger. Keep running. They mount and actually get out of dodge. This will go over eventually to the side of Baby Makers as is. We do actually see Tracer picking up the percent damage possible. Let me pull up these talents real quick. As for the team of Big Push Power, did get through their heroics first. Let's talk about them. We do have massive shove. I've pushed the button. We do have massive shove. Oh, Concept getting dove on by Tracer, eating a lot of damage. We see that first protect plate come out. There's that percent damage boss bomb. We see it do a lot of damage, and that will be Concept going down. The 10s being actually massive for the side of Baby Maker. So let's actually touch on them first. We did see both Wailing Arrow used there and that Quantum Spike for percent damage on Pulse Bomb, both finishing off at Deathwing. We do also see Shockwave or Hogger, Gorge on Stitches, and the Tranquility on the Malfurion. And actually, this may be the first camp we see go over to the side of Baby Makers. Very good. On right hand side, we see Bellowing Roar on the Deathwing, which may have been used earlier there, but too late now. Massive shove from the Stukov. Coming down Odin from Vitakus once again. Play again from the... I nearly called it Avatar because it looks a bit similar. Play again from the TLV and Wave of Force from the Li Ming. Oh, we can even stall out, as we do see everyone trying to stall as well. Stand like relatively well positioned, and that is that objective taking over. 27-29, very even. But these Vikings are still just keeping them in the fight. That is a fly in from Concept. Concept getting into the objective. Does use that bear, takes the objective. We do see MRTTO, and actually the Vikings coming down in general. D Sheaves getting relatively low. That Gorge not quite finding anyone. Ooh, I don't know if there's a panic unstop, but it was well timed. If they were moving any further to the right, they would have been hooked if they weren't popping that Commandeer. Getting a very slow push here. Sylvana's kind of turning off that object. The thing about Black Arrows, I didn't mention before, it does actually turn off things such as minions and mercenaries. You see the siege coming through once again. That will be actually the... A lot of pings happening. That will be the... Sylvanas going down first. Looks like Freckle Bob was being pinged there, which may be a bit of toxicity from the side of the blue team, but we do not know for certain. It may have just been the red team just trying to call a target. Here are the talents coming through. If you'd like to see them, there they are. But meanwhile, we see Desheebs actually get the hook onto Alpharak. The silence actually making it so not much more can be found of it. Short Gorge wasn't quite up yet, but Desheebs on that Stitches needs to be finding those hooks. They need that pressure. And actually, we do see Vikings did go that Nordic attack squad. As Marbach was actually getting pretty quickly melted by all this percent damage. Does get an excellent triple stun off. That spin will go straight through. The Olaf will not find Baylog or Eric. And we do see Marbach getting relatively low. It's not quite enough to finish him off as they no longer have that percent damage. Dead Wish coming in behind. And MRTTO has realized it. Olaf goes down. However, Eric will be able to run away. Thank you to his swiftness. And this looks like it should be in another altar going over the side of Big Push Power, as this will be another 5 shots through onto the core of Baby Makers. I'm surprised that we didn't see... Oh, it was used earlier. How long is the cooldown on it? Yeah, so play again, it was still on cooldown, as Eric is just kind of running around. Oh, we do see a Gorge onto the Li Ming. Li Ming trying to be best to get out. We do get an excellent fair from Deathwing, getting both Deathwish and D-Sheaves out. Paper Tanks gets too low, getting hit by that core, and that tower will go down. The Sheaves get stunned, eats a full combo from a Li Ming, however will not go down themselves. Deathwish looking like they're wanting to stick a pulse bomb onto Concept just for there, to get them out of their hair for a little bit, but does not commit to it, and Concept will fly. As they can hear Deathwing and see now, Deathwing is in VS. They should be a bit braver to push into this. As you know, Deathwing will probably not want to drop until they have that full healing amount up. Things to note, we do see that Big Push Power are closer to VS 16 while they are have started this left camp. Not left, God, I've done it again. Right camp for Big Push Power camp. And that will actually put them in striking range of it. MRTTO getting out. Deathwish really wants it, but not quite finding it. And we do have a Eric just kind of messing around with his Hogger. Vera's 16s. That is this camp taken once again. Stitches tried their best to get that hook, but we already see this tower has been turned back over. The team of Big Push Power doing their best to get what damage they can onto it before the sappers get here. And that will be 4 sappers in. We do still have 1 up. Deathwing does use their stun, and this is once again this bottom tower taken by Big Push Power coming into an altar phase. And that is that last sapper going down before it can really find too much else. Deathwing getting pressured out by Paper Tanks, and we do see the Li Ming has backed off for it this time. Excellent stun by the Deathwing, meaning they can back out to the safety of his tower. MRTTO doing their best to stall Marbach when they do so, playing around that bush. Trace it, not actually quite as fast as an Eric. Eric gets the stall, and once again, however, does not find too much else. I think Marbach was getting a bit annoyed with that, as they did have Dead Wish kind of doing as much as they can to zone out. Only 3 shots coming out from that phase for the side of Big Push Power, and 10 coming out for the side of Big Push Power, and only 3 coming out for Baby Makers. The fact that they've changed sides for no good reason has thrown me completely off. And I want to know it. If you're doing, even if your game isn't casted live, can you please try and keep like on the same side as? Sure, like, yeah, it just happened to be one team set up for lobby over the other, but it does make it easier if you are getting cast in the replays. That just consistency makes it easier for me to A lot of people actually do remember the names of both sides. And that is actually Olaf going down once again to the Tracer. Olaf, come on, man. Don't get bullied by some British girl. You're better than this. You're a Viking. Actually, we did see that was the play again. Popped as Marbach was getting very low. MRTT getting low as well. I actually want to check that. We do see large in charge from Olaf. That will be the Eric going down first, Alok going down next, and it looks like this will be a full Viking wipe as Olaf follows soon after. Unfortunate. That is the first full Viking wipe we've seen. Actually, I looked down at perfect time. The Sheeves gets rooted, gets flipped, gets stunned, gets silenced. Oh my god! They just died. That was a very good Commandeer Odin. I don't know if it was going to quite hit them, but definitely concerning. We do actually see both of these objectives are tops. We're going to see how the red team decides to get there. Concept getting pestered by Tracer does give a warning mark on them. It looks like Hogger should be able to get this objective without really getting... This should be a good free 6 shots over to the side of Baby Makers, something they very much need at this point in time. Yep, we do see the first Vikings only come out now. Sure, they're running to get there. However, their extra move speed not quite fast enough as they're only barely entering the screen. The extended screen, if I zoom in, yeah, they only would have been barely entering the screen as that altar was channeled. And yep, double altar phase going over to the side of Big Push Out. We hear Deathwing fly in. They're not quite using that fair, however. Marbach getting very low from the outset. Final Stand getting that auto attack. The Stugov auto attack, one of my favorite auto attacks just to see them go down. And that is all members of Big Push Power at the fight. And that goes over once again to blue team. Hook does not quite find anyone. No one was standing in that bush at the current point in time. Alpharak doing their best to get damage out with that overkill, that spray and pray. And it looks like that did go into the Q build at 13-16. Yes, indeed they did. Deathwing lands to try their best to get extra damage on. These sappers are probably about to turn around looking at this tower, but no, it looks like they've stepped up far enough. Nope, never mind. And we will just see this tower taken once again. I'd actually like to see it maybe held for a bit longer, see if I can set up a 6 cap. However, you don't have to think about it too hard. Oh no, Eric! Eric! And it's just trying to escape a Tracer, which is not good news. We see Olaf holding the spot now. Olaf, as I said, does have the stun up, so can act as an extra frontliner. The only unfortunate thing is we can't really control who the stun hits. It just kind of happens every 8 seconds. Like, yeah, sure. Oh god, stretching. Tishiro does use that ult, that play again, and we do see heroic, no, not heroic, Storm Talents coming through the side of, oh my gosh, we see Fury of the Storm. We did see Storm Talents coming through. We see top off from Stukov, the Stood in the Fire, for something we haven't seen often, picked up by the Deathwing. The Overkill upgrade. Can do this all day from the Tigers. Again, something else we don't see very often picked up. Fury of the Storm from the Vikings. Usually you see the Play Again upgrade or the other one that reduces cooldown timers. And then we see Repulsion from the Li Ming. It looks like we're just trading out objectives here. Albeit Deathwing's going to be very annoying. There's a right side objective. Is Deathwing going to land? No, Paper Tanks does get it across. As we have a 5-shot free shot. Things to note here is we do also see the Storm Talents coming through from the side of Baby Makers. We do see that Master Hooker from Stitches, Bolt of the Storm from Sylvanas once again. No control from Hogger. Heavy-handed. Gets stuffed from Tracer and the Serenity from Malfurion. We're just getting a pretty safe play now as the Siege Camp is coming up very shortly for the side of Big Push Power. However, no, they decide to change their plan and go defend this keep. Very important things to note is this keep is very important. Yeah, as I was about to say, very important. As this controls how many shots you get through, and that is why there's been such a big difference between Big Push Power and Baby Makers. Is yeah, sure, Baby Makers are actually winning over quite a few of these objectives, but because of how the towers have been situated, there's still a 10-point difference in the core's health. We do see that now is being taken by the side of the Baby Makers. Big Push Power looks like they're ready for a fight. Dead Wish realizing that Deathwing is in there. However, Dead Wish looks like they want to make the Deathwing a Dead Wing and trying to zone them out. Concept looks like they're getting in position for that flight. There is Alpharak hooked in. Concept knows that distance very well, and we do see the Fear coming out. There is actually Sheev's actually positioned himself in a wonderful spot. Repulsion pushes him back in. They're not quite able to quite find it. There's a 1-for-1 trade. Leeming tries to finish off, however, Leeming will go down as they got a bit too aggressive and didn't find the resets they needed. And they'll actually be definitely through to follow. This is not good timing, as we do see that is the bottom altar being called. Let's want to look. No, Leeming did not go the health reset at 4, so it's very interesting to see her get that aggressive. Yeah, sure, she does have Calamity, and that is a decent amount of her damage. But she doesn't really have the healing to get it done. Stukov trying their best to kind of slow down the side of... Oh, we do have the silence reset from Stukov. Stukov doing their best to slow down Paper Tanks and crew from the side of Baby Makers. And it does actually appear to do enough to kind of scare them off. Vikings actually pushing top during all of this. We're getting very split play. This objective not coming quite through. If they're not careful, they'll lose this top one anyway. And that's kind of defeats the purpose of holding on to the objective this long. It looks like Freckle Bob is heading back to get that channel over. It will be this bottom bell tower going down first. This bottom keep going down first. Vikings do not give a top left one in time. And that'll be 5 shots going into the core of Big Push Power. Halving the difference between the two sides. And we see a actual gank because... Oh gosh, shooting, I'm sorry, I'm running a stretching, it means I'm not in the action. We saw a gank being set up by that middle bunker. Hook coming through, finding C2T2, that is C2T2 getting gorged. We see a little bit of a miscommunication there. Silence Arrow actually not hitting C2T2 in time, gets this blink out, however, it is a bit too little too late as the blink did not find anything. Hooked on infinite that is actually Stukov pushing the... Oh my gosh, Stukov pushed the Tracer into the Death Zone, and Tracer just died on impact. Thank you to that Death Zone damage coming out, as well as being CC'd throughout all of that Hook. Alpha Rack barely getting that dash, making sure they're not hit by Hook and now able to get into Commandeer Odin and start sieging this relatively hard. We see Marbuckle has come down as well as the Vikings, just knowing that something is up. We do see that Marbuckle was scouted. Viking managed to dodge getting hit into the wall as they are diving to Sheaves. MRTTO does get that Eric out in time, that Baylog out, sorry, of his range of time. And there's Baylog being found, and unfortunately that is the important Viking. We do see play again coming out as they're trying their best to get that objective, that keep back. They need to do it within the next 20 seconds or so they can get that back and then go for this objective. Things to note is they do have the top left Alter, so it is a 4 for 4 at least. Hogger is taking this as quickly as possible, but it slows down a bit once that junk pile, trash pile, loot hoard. Loot hoard does go down. We do see Eric and co. The Vikings ready to push in. Deathwing does help drop that down, and that will be the Belter going down. Final stand, however, is the quick soon to follow after. There's 2 Vikings down to the Hoggers. Hogger did use no control there. Lee Ming goes down next, and this is an excellent turnaround so far from the side of Baby Makers. Baby Makers were struggling for a while, however, they have been all found an excellent fight to turn around. That early advantage of the Deathwing solo frontline, that Deathwing tank kind of being diminished, and we see more and more and more of it slowly going over to the side of Baby Makers. And now it looks like Baby Makers want to... I'll be a bit patient on this. I think you could have gotten this mid-bell tower, this bottom bell tower back, but no, they play safe and just get 6 shots through. As, oh yeah, either way, it wouldn't quite have been an end for the side of Big Push Power. However, boss, no matter here, will be. And unfortunately, we only see Deathwing will have to land and use that fear immediately. MRTTO trying their best to get vision on this objective so Deathwing can land. And there is a Deathwing. Deathwing probably has fear up, so they need to put space very well. Use it, use it, use it. There we go. There's excellent stuff. Tracer immediately blinks on. There is the MRTTO going down. There's the Deathwing soon to follow, and that will be the game and series going over to the side of Baby Makers in an excellent reverse sweep. Even though I'm a bit confused, so I have to swap the sides over. Anyway, let me just make sure I'm on the right scene, because I messed it up a bunch before putting it here, and now let's change it over to the stats. Right. Malfurion did an insane amount of healing. That just healing may have actually pushed it over to the side of Baby Makers, as the grouping from things such as the Vikings did let him get some rather large W's off, and getting a lot of burst heal with that. Stukov, however, only 40k, as I said, yes, sure, they have Vikings, but they have a Deathwing. Stukov and Deathwing do not really match together and kind of just goes against Stukov's design kind of ideology. Maybe if they had Malfurion, that would have been better for them, but yeah. But as I said, Stitches did end up finding those hooks near the end. Getting those early picks meant that they were able to maybe not maybe let me phrase it a different way. Getting those earlier kills in team fights kind of led to their snowballing advantage as we got to the late game. Sure, early game was very much dominated by the red team as nothing really had the means to deal with Deathwing, but it was as soon as we saw those 10s come through that Baby Makers kind of stole the show. I'm going to swap them back to the sides they were before, just so I am just for continuity. There we go. Baby Makers did reverse sweep that. Anyway, let's have a brief look at the build. Anything stand out here? We did see that Tychus did go that overkill build, something we do not see often. Not Eric. The Lost Vikings went that percent damage, full damage build, something that I personally like, but I'm also a bit memey when I play things such as Vikings. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Other than that, we don't really see anything too... I don't understand Hogger, so don't even ask me there. We don't see anything too kind of out there when it comes to these builds. But right, I'm going to throw it over to my to the game screen, the map screen, so I can give my closing remarks for the evening, as I've got to set up for my first live cast in quite a while, very shortly. Anyway, as we saw, we did see Big Push Power did take that first map, but then Baby Makers did manage to come back with both Infernal Shrines and Towers of Doom to take the series, and a well-fought series it was. GG to both sides. Very competitive, very close, and actually every single map was very well fought. These teams were very close in terms of power. However, speaking of power, unfortunately they did not quite make it today. Anyway, that will be me for this cast. I'll see people later if they so choose to join my live cast. But if you're watching this later, do not worry about it. As I say every time, I wish everyone a good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. And I will see you all in the Nexus. Goodbye for now.